Similar to the last example, we're going to go ahead and look at how f of x equals cosine x is affected if we multiply it by -2. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our values would be for both f of x and g of x. So what I like to use for my x values, again, are we can just go with 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And f of x, which we'll use red. So f of x would be cosine of x. So cosine of 0 is 1. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0. A cosine of pi would be -1. Cosine of 3 pi over 2 is also 0. And cosine of 2 pi, we come back to 1. Similar to how the sine graph was periodic. G of x, now we're taking each of these values multiplied by -2. So 1 times -2 would be -2. 0 becomes 0. This would become +2. -1 times -2, 0. And then we're back to -2. So on a graph, we need to graph 2 periods. So again, I'll put pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Um, so then, let's see here. We want f of x in red. So we would have point at 1, 0, -1, 0, and 1. So that would be 1 full period. And then I can either decide to extend it another period to the left or another period to the right. It looks like I have more room on the right side, so I'll try to get that in there. So then we have green for our g of x, which it's going to go from actually -2, so it's flipped vertically is really what happened there. So it's flipped vertically, and it's also stretched by a factor of 2. So it's going to look something like this, where it's essentially the opposite, and it's also a little higher in amplitude than our original graph, and it'll look something like that. If you want a more accurate picture, we can take a look at the calculator. Let's go ahead and graph cosine of x and a -2 cosine of x. So we'll go zoom fit. Zoom trig might also be a nice option for these trig functions too if this fit doesn't work out. And let's actually try. Let's try zoom trig here, which is 7. There we go. That's a much better picture. So there's our cosine, and here's our -2 cosine. So that's what the graph will look like if you have a -2 on the outside. Let's go ahead and try the sample problem. See if you can predict how -6 cosine of x would affect the graph.